Chapter 22 Player Bag Inventory. With the previous chapter, we now have items scattered around our dungeon, and we can walk around and observe them like a kind of perverse museum. We'd like the player to be able to interact with the items somehow. There are many shapes such an interaction mechanism could have in a game. A most extreme variant would be that an item is used up as soon as the player steps on it. Slightly less extreme, the player could have the choice of using an item whenever he stands on top of it, but it can still only be used once. In a more flexible direction, we could allow the player to hold a single item and carry it around for once use or moving. And in the typical flexible variant, we will be allowed to carry multiple items, and the carried items go in an intermediate item store before we possibly later equip them or once use them. Such a player bag mechanism is traditionally called an inventory. The plan. Here we'll go for that last approach, the inventory model. We'd like the player to be able to pick up items, to use items, to view his current list of items, and to drop items again. In our approach, we'll apply a pickup item command and a drop item command. We'll extend our model with the player bag container, which the pickup and drop commands will operate on. Then we will build an inventory screen that shows a list of currently carried items. From this screen, we can choose which items to drop or use. In a later chapter, we'll extend our game model with another container for equip parts. It will function akin to the inventory bag, but it applies slots, which represents pegs that you can equip stuff on. For example, your main weapon hand, your head, your neck, or your feet. We'll use it to track which kind of weapon you're wielding and what kind of armor you're wearing, to determine how much damage your attacks will do and how much attacks against you are reduced by your worn armor. For the implementation, the 22bag.ts will look like this. It's basically an array of objects with some benefits. We'll add the bag to the game interface like this. And then we'll clone 17 game model 3 into a new game model 4 that includes the bag like this. And you can touch up game 3, game 2, and so on by giving them this shim so they can compile. We'll need a way for the player to pick up an item from the dungeon floor. This entails removing it from the map cell and transferring it to his bag. So we make the 22 pickup command like this. And to include this command, we'll add this case to the passkey command in 09 passplayer. So if you press G and you have a bag, we'll do the pickup command. And also include our updated game model. The game 4 with the bag, we'll have to clone our earlier builder 21 builder J. And we'll also add a few helpers to it to allow us to quickly test these inventory features. We'll stuff a few items directly into the player's bag when the game launches, with the method add items to player bag. This will allow us to immediately try out viewing the inventory and to test dropping of items. And we'll also force a few items to spawn right next to the player to aid in testing pickup. That will be the method add item next to player. So in 22 builder 2k, we'll make these changes. We use the game 4 here, and we'll have a special method init level 1, and while we're at it, we'll do a teleport, so the player currently starts at level 1, where we want to test stuff without the dangerous cats. And in at level 1, we'll stuff the player's bag and place some items next to his bag, next to the player. And that looks like this. So place, and put a dagger in the player's bag. To try it out, we'll need a runner. That'll be index 22, inventory. That looks like this. And if you now run index 22, you can try pressing G either when you're standing on an item or when you're not standing on an item. And hooray, we can now pick up items. Or we can at least make them disappear. If only we could somehow see what items we're carrying. So looking at our back inventory. To look at our inventory, we'll make an inventory menu screen. Behold the 22 inventory screen. And it basically draws a list of whatever it finds in the bag. And so the player can activate this inventory screen. We will add this case to pass key command. So you press I, and then if you have a bag, it'll show the inventory screen. With this, you can now execute the runner again and try to pick up some items and press I to look at your inventory. Whoa. Dropping stuff again. We must also let the player drop items. So the 22 drop command would be this. But we'll need somewhere to activate the drop command. We could just let it happen whenever you select an item on the inventory screen. But we have plans to do more with items than just always drop them. So we'll need a way to specify what we want to do with an item. One approach could be to display the what choices when the player picks an item. For example, what do you want to do with item X? We'll call this choice menu the item screen. At first it will only have the option drop and of course the cancel possibility by pressing the escape key. So we'll update inventory screen's item menu to now call the item screen, so it will look like this. So this pops the old screen and pushes the item screen. And that item screen will look like this. With a lot of options that we don't quite have yet. And to bring the item screen to work, we'll have to account for that method you saw there, pop and run NPC loop. What's the purpose of that? It completes a turn. Because the player's drop command has now been completed with the drop bag item method, we're done with the item screen and it must be popped off. And because the player's turn is done, it's also time to run the NPC loop. This is a generally useful function, so we'll add it to base screen instead. There's no special magic in it, it's just NPC loop in combination with popping a completed subscreen. But naming it like this helps us remember to do this right combination. So in base screen, you'll add pop and run NPC as pop, this NPC turns. And with this, we can now walk around and pick up stuff and drop it again. In other words, we have promoted ourselves from museum guest to janitor.